Well, by golly, when I had a chance to make two of my lifelong dreams come true at the same time, I just couldn't turn Melita down when she asked me to go with she and 87 other stargazers to China to watch the eclipse. The group consisted of mainly college professors, researchers, scientists, astrophysicists, professional photographers, and an additional handful of just nuts. We went to China and saw the eclipse, and it was glorious. I'm going to try to explain some of that to you, but knowing that words are always inadequate for something so glorious. We were on the Yangtze River just below the Three Gorges Dam. This is a beautiful place to be. Shanghai was all socked in. Chongqing was all socked in. And there we were about an hour before the eclipse was to begin, and we were clouded over, sitting on the top deck of the cruise ship. And we pulled into port, and folks were just lined up on both sides of the river to see the eclipse. And just a few minutes before the situation was to begin, the clouds all parted, cleared up, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And you could begin to see the moon cutting into the sun, beginning to see the crescent, and it became more and more obvious that there was going to be an absolutely total eclipse, and it was just glorious. The light is very eerie. The animals do funny things. The birds all come back to the trees just as they might at sunset. And it was just a wonderful thing to watch. There is a phenomena that when the moon got completely in front of the sun, at the very last moment, there is just a bright stream of light that comes out, and that's referred to as the diamond ring. And it indeed looks like a giant diamond ring in the sky. It's truly glorious. And then when the eclipse is total, you can take off your sunglasses. Actually, we had glasses that were number 14 Mylar, which welders use. I don't know anything about it, but anyway, that's what they gave us. And we were able to look at the sun the whole time. But during the eclipse time, we took off our glasses, and you could get your binoculars out or whatever and look at the sun. And you could see a corona around it with light shooting out all over. And it was just like being in the middle of heaven or something, and being able to see the most beautiful photo play of light and color. And all around the edges of the moon, every once in a while you would see a yellow or red beam of light shoot out. And that's between the mountain peaks on the moon, which are on the periphery of the moon, that you could see the light coming through. So it was truly glorious. And anyone that could look at that and fail to declare the greatness of God or the beauty of the heavens and so forth. So for me, it was just absolutely a show of a lifetime. Now I want to tell you that while the total eclipse was in effect, you could see 3 planets, Mars, Mercury, and then Venus was right up ahead. And you could see some star constellations. And of course, all these people that were standing around would point out to us, where everything was. And it was really a great, thrilling opportunity to be there. When the next one is in 18 years, and I think that is in 2037, so you want to put that on your calendars. And I'll let you know where it's going to be. We can all meet there perhaps, but it's worth the trip, let me tell you for sure. In today's gospel, Jesus is talking about a different kind of phenomenon. And that is, he had just finished the feeding of the 5,000. And as you know, Jesus is known for basically two different things in his ministry. One is healing, which he did a lot of, and the other one is feeding. So people knew that if they followed Jesus around, they would be witness to or experience some healing, and on the other hand, they would get fed. So that's not a bad deal. But Jesus was kind of taking them to task about that. And he said, hey, the only reason you guys are here is because you want a meal. Now let me tell you where we can go a little deeper into that. Let me tell you about the real bread of life. And then he starts talking about bread from heaven, bread from God, and ends up saying, I am like that bread. And he's making the comparison here between two types of food. The type of food that we ordinarily eat, that we're going to go do in about an hour or so. We'll have lunch. That kind of bread, that kind of food that nourishes our body. But also Jesus was saying, you're not all body. You're spirit as well. And I am that bread that feeds your spirit. I am that part of existence that will feed the spiritual part of you, which is just as important as the physical part of you, or perhaps more important, actually. So he talked about those two kinds of bread, and he kept saying, you'll never hunger, you'll never thirst, if you'll just participate or partake of the bread of life. Well, we know that as perhaps life in Christ, living as a Christian, being in the heart of God. There's a lot of different ways of saying that. But what I want to talk about is, what is the real essence of that bread of life? What's the bottom line of it when we say participate in or eat the bread of life that nourishes our spirit? What are we talking about? Do any of you remember when you first fell in love? Well, some of you are smiling. Some of you kind of have this question on your face. Well, anyway, when I was in the 5th grade, it happened to me. I fell in love with a girl named Kathy Hassel. If anybody knows where she is, I'd appreciate you. Let me know about it. But Kathy wore this one kind of perfume that I just loved. I still can walk down the aisles and the halls of a junior high school, and when I smell that perfume, I think of Kathy Hassel. So anyway, for me, those feelings of being in love, there might be other names for it, but anyway, those feelings of being in love were really locked in my memory. And to me, I know that love, falling in love, does wonderful things to you. It certainly disrupts your life, or at least the life that you usually do. And it disrupts the way of doing things because you begin to see things in unique ways, perhaps that you've never noticed before.